webinar today. I've heard from a number of people that the audio is working correctly, so hopefully everyone's able to hear me now. I do see a couple people said it took them a while to find the chat box because it starts off collapsed. So I think there is a little orange arrow, something like that, you might need to click on to get the GoToMeeting window to open up to be able to use the chat box that you see there. There was also a question from somebody about the chat screen who actually sent a message. So yes, that is the chat box you should be using. I'm not sure if it's labeled as a chat box or a question box, something like that. But it should be on the GoToMeeting window. You should be able to type out something in there, and I'll be able to see it. I'll get a little notification when a message comes in. Okay, so everybody should be able to see my screen as well as hear me. So we're on the main Brainfuse page for Pima Community College. So today I'm just going to go through the service and show you exactly how everything here works. I'll try to stop and ask for questions every few minutes, but you don't need to wait to type out a question if you happen to have one while I'm talking. Just go ahead and type it out using that chat box, and I'll address the questions as soon as I see them. I see someone has a question wondering if they can chat with each other and not with me as the moderator. I don't believe so. I don't think there's a feature like that in GoToMeeting as far as I'm aware. I think all the chats that you send will go to me. I'll be sure to read out loud every question, though, before I answer it so that you're aware of what the question was. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. So this is the main screen. So this is what your students will see when they access the Brainfuse service. There's basically 3 tabs here. Expert Help is the default, the first one, and then Study and Collaborate. So there's a number of buttons here in each one you can click on. So I'm going to essentially just click on each one and show you exactly how everything works so that you know what we have here. You can direct your students to it, help them use it if they need some help, anything like that. I see there's a question asking about accessibility features in Brainfuse. Could you expand a little bit on that question? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by accessibility. It's sort of up to the college as to where you put the link to where students would access it and what students you'll give access to. With our colleges, for the most part, it's set behind or inside your student portal, whatever program you use for students to log into. It's usually set in there. But again, that's something you discuss with our tech department, so it's really up to you exactly how it gets set up and distributed. There's a question asking how does it work with screen readers? I guess you mean programs that sort of read the screen out loud for somebody. I know that's a question that's come up and it's been worked on. Yeah, like JAWS, someone's saying. I'm not exactly sure where we are with that or exactly how well it works, but I know some people from Pima have been in contact with us here at Brainfuse about that, and our tech department's looked into it. I'm not exactly sure where we are with that, but I know it's a question that's come up and that we're aware of. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the buttons we see here in the Expert Help section. And the first one here is the Live Help option. This is sort of our foundational service. It allows students to connect with a live tutor and ask any academic questions that they have. So if you click on the Live Help button to connect with one of our live tutors, all you do is choose either English or math. So this was a request from Pima to only include English and math topics, so that's all that you see here rather than other subjects. So students will just have a choice between English and math. If you choose English, you have a choice of reading or writing, and if you choose math, there's a number of math topics here that you can choose from. This is all customizable. All the services offered can be removed if they aren't relevant, and the topics here can be adjusted as well. So you choose the one you want, click on Get Live Help, our online classroom opens up, and you'll connect with a tutor. We'll look at a live session at the very end today, but I'm going to go through the full service first. You can also click here if you'd like a Spanish-speaking tutor. Next to the Live Help option, we have what we call Skill Surfer. So this essentially lets you search through a lot of resources that we have available. So again, there's only English and math here as requested, but within each one, you choose one of the topics here. So either reading, writing, math, algebra, trig. You choose the topic, and then we have all these different resources that are available. So within algebra, we have all these different topics, numbers and operations, linear equations and inequalities, and a number of other ones. So within each of these, there's a number of lessons. That includes text lessons as well as video lessons. You'll see some of these are videos that we've created. So a student can just log in here, find a topic that they're working on, and then look through the lessons and videos that we have on that topic on their own. I see there's a question saying, is Brainfuse universally designed for students with disabilities and work with adaptive software such as JAWS, reader software for visually impaired students? As I said before, I know that question has come up. I believe, I don't know exactly how it was resolved or if it's been resolved yet, seeing how the JAWS software works. But I know that's important to Pima, and I know we've been looking into it. I don't know exactly where we are with that, though. There's a question asking, are we going to be able to test drive this ourselves before the term begins? That's also something I'd have to check with our supervisor on, with my supervisor on, as to if you'll have access before the service actually goes live. There's another question asking if the Skill Surfer goes through calculus. I'm not sure what we have available for calculus, if it's just not here. If that's something your students will be interested in, just let us know. Dan, you can send us an email, and we can check as to what we have available for calculus lessons. So that was the Live Help and Skill Surfer options. If I move down the page, the next option here is the Writing Lab. So the Writing Lab essentially lets students send in pieces of writing they're working on and have them reviewed by one of our tutors. So a student can send in a paper or an essay, something that they're working on. One of our writing tutors will look it over. They'll provide some feedback, some comments on how to make that piece of writing better, and then our tutor will send that back to the student within 1 business day. So our turnaround time is a max of 1 business day, but as a student sends something in to us, it's available to our tutors to edit and review. So it may get back to the student in just a couple hours, but at most it'll be 1 business day. So when I click on the Writing Lab button here, to send in a file, you just follow the simple steps listed here. So you attach the document that you want to send in. Pretty much any standard document type is fine. Then you add any comments here in the comments box. You can type out what the assignment was, what you're looking for help with, anything like that, and then click on the Submit button. So you get a message here. It says you'll receive a response within 1 business day in your message center. So the message center is located right up here at the top of the page. So this is where you'll go to get the response that our tutor sends back. So this was a previous submission right here, and then the bluish box right below it is the response that we send back. This is the document down here at the bottom, the one that we just sent in. So when the tutor sends back their response, it'll show up right below that in a bluish box here. Our tutors, we're not going to make all the changes for the student or send the paper back in a form so that the student can then just turn it in. We're giving comments and suggestions, things like that, so the student can then go make changes on their own. I see there's a question saying, can we attach our assignment sheets to the student submissions? If not, how do we assure that those tutors know what the writing assignment is? So that would be up to the student when they send it in to us. If they want to include the assignment sheet, they certainly can. If they want to type out the assignment in the text box, they can do that as well. So what's submitted is completely up to the student. There's another question saying, do you use the comments feature in Word or just within the text? Most of the time, we put the comments within the text itself. The side comments feature in Word, some students tend to find it confusing, and you have to sort of manually delete each option. So most of the time, we'll put the comments directly in the text unless there's some reason not to. And there's another question saying, can we see sample comments? Let me just pause the screen for a second and see if I can find a reviewed paper. If anyone has any comments, it might just take me a minute or so. If anyone has any other questions or comments, you can feel free to type them out. Okay, so the screen should be live again. This is a document here that's been reviewed, so we always send back the paper with, this is actually a little bit older. Our writing rubric that we use looks a little bit different, but it's essentially the same. So it has, some standard comments, some sections for the tutor to fill in, and then the comments here that the tutor writes. Some tutors put more comments up here in the rubric and less within the text itself. Some tutors put more within the text and less here on the rubric, but we'll always send back a rubric here with sort of some overview comments, and then you scroll further down and you'll get to the paper itself. So you can see the comments here are usually put in bold text within parentheses, often in a different color right within the text. So this is what a reviewed paper looks like. Okay, so that was the Writing Lab. We're back here on the main page. Right next to the Writing Lab option, we have the 24/7 Center. This option works exactly the same way as the Writing Lab, except the 24/7 Center here is for other academic questions that you have to send in. So through the Writing Lab, you send in pieces of writing. Through the 24/7 Center, you can send in questions. Again, the only topics available as requested are English and math, so most of the questions sent here will probably be in math. So you choose the topic, type out your question here. You can attach a file if you have one. That's optional. You don't need to. And then you click on Submit. So that question will be saved in the Message Center along with the response that we send back, exactly the same as for the Writing Lab. We're never going to give out answers to questions sent through the 24/7 Center here. We'll either get the student started if it's a problem with a lot of steps, or most likely we will work through a similar problem to the one the student submitted to show the student how you do that type of question, and then the student can then go work on their particular question on their own. But we'll never just give out the answer to the student. There's a question saying, what do students need to be able to access this site? There's no special downloads or anything. It uses standard programs that you have available on your computer. So there's nothing you need to download to access the site. And I see there's another question asking if we can see the English page in Skill Surfer. So yeah, I can do that now quickly. So if we click on Skill Surfer, English, so this is the reading page, for example. So you see there's lessons, exercises, there's videos here as well, so students can look through this. The last option here in the Expert Help tab is the LEAP option. So we call this the College Skills Program. Essentially, this lets you take a diagnostic test in either reading, writing, or math, and then it essentially takes the questions you got wrong and the skills associated with each of those questions and creates a little learning plan for you. So if I click on LEAP, this page appears because this particular student already took a diagnostic test. So this was a math diagnostic. If you want to take a different one, you can click on the Take Diagnostic tab here and choose a different topic. So again, either English or math. You can choose reading or writing, or you can choose math and choose one of the math subjects available. So if I go back to Math Test 1 that I already took, so this pie chart here shows you the different skills you need to work on based on the diagnostic test you took. And as you work through all of the lessons, videos, and little quizzes that are assigned to you down here, as you complete them, this graph up here will change color to show what parts you've completed. So there's both lessons and videos here as far as content. Then once you've gone through that, there'll be some little mini quizzes as well you can take. Usually 1, 2, 3 question quizzes on that topic. So it's just a feature students can use for some extra practice. Okay, so does anyone have any questions at this point? I know most people seem to have been typing them out, but I'll pause for just a few seconds to see if there are any questions before we move on to the study tab. Someone's saying, can you summarize the difference from a student perspective between Live Help and the 24/7 Center? So in Live Help, you're actually connecting with a live tutor in our online classroom. So you'd be typing and talking, typing back and forth and using our whiteboard actually in real time with a live tutor. In 24/7 Center, you're just sending in a question, and we'll send back a response within one business day. But especially for the questions sent through the 24/7 Center, we usually respond much more quickly than one business day. We get a lot fewer submissions of math type questions than we do for papers. It's a very popular service for students to send in papers. There's a question saying, are all the math topics for diagnostics shown, or is there more that could be added? I believe those are all the topics that we have created for diagnostics, but if there's something that you'd like us to work on or you'd like to see for your students, just let us know and we could possibly add that. Someone's asking if you can see the writing leap. It would take a little while because I'd have to actually click through the test, but it looks exactly the same. Just the topics will, of course, be, will have to do with writing rather than math, but the setup will be exactly the same. There's another question saying, is there leaf prep for standardized placement tests? No, not for LEAF. We don't offer, not for LEAP. We don't offer any standardized tests in LEAP yet. But again, if that's something that you want us to add, you can let us know and we can see about creating that. There's another question about when is Live Help available. I'm actually not sure exactly what the hours are. Usually it's something like 24 hours a day for math, and then for other topics we usually have 9 to 10 hours a day, something like that. But again, it depends what exactly was set in the contract, which I'm not aware of offhand. Okay, it looks like someone's requesting Calculus 1 to 3 available for the LEAP diagnostics. I'll make a note of that and check. Okay, the next option, or the next tab here, is the study section. So we have a number of options here available as well. So the first one is the flashbulb. We call this flashbulb. It's essentially an online flashcard service. So students can enter flashcards here if they're trying to memorize any sorts of terms and definitions. So if you click on the button, you can use the Create Now button here on the left to enter your own flashcards. We also have all these topics listed here. So this lets you search through sets of flashcards that others have created. They're created by students for the most part, so they may not be accurate. And of course, they probably won't cover the exact words that you're looking to work on. So most students will use the Create Now option, but we do have all these topics over here. So if I choose one of these sets of cards that have already been created, this is what a set of flashcards looks like once you've entered them. So you can click on each of the different buttons down here, and that lets you do something different with the cards. So you can just see the cards with the first one. You can play games like crossword puzzle, word unscramble, and a number of other games here. You can take a quiz or a test. You can print the cards if you want hard copies of them. So there are a lot of different options here for flashcards, just designed to make memorizing a little bit easier for students. There's a question saying, did you say students create those? Yes, the flashcards are entered by students. So the student signs in, they click on flashbulb here, and they can enter their own flashcards using the Create Now button. The ones over here are also, for the most part, created by students, so that's why I say they may not be accurate. But you can search through them if you'd like. I see there's another question asking if you have AccuPlace or Compass LEAP prep tests. No, we don't have any standardized tests available for LEAP. We do have some of the standardized tests available here. just not in the Leap feature. So here, the next buttons we see are GRE, AccuPlacer, and Compass. So if these are relevant for your students, we have some options here for them. So for example, I'll click on the GRE one. Here on the left, we have live help available, so you can connect to a live tutor and ask any questions you have or get help preparing for any of the 3 sections of the GRE test. In the middle, we have practice tests available for the GRE. These are not set up as a diagnostic, so it's just a practice test you take. After you take it, you can look through the answers, see which ones you got wrong, and you can also log in with our live tutors, and there the tutors are able to access your test results. So if you take one of the GRE practice tests here, then log in with a live tutor, you can tell them I just took a test and would like to go over the questions I answered incorrectly. The tutor can access your test results and go over those specific questions with you. And then here on the right, we have resources available for the GRE as well. So these are, there's a lot here for the GRE. Just different things that students can click on to get some extra help preparing for the GRE test. So we then have similar options for AccuPlacer and Compass. So if those are relevant for any of your students, those are available. Down at the bottom, we have our General Test Center. So this lets you take academic practice tests. So again, English and math are the only 2 options available. So you choose English, reading or writing, math, and one of the subjects available here. So here you'll see some higher level tests and different options than we had with the diagnostics. So you can choose one of those and take a practice test in that subject. And again, the tutors can access your test results when you're logged into a live session. So you can take one of these and then go over the questions you got wrong with the tutor. You can also just look through your test results on your own, of course, as well. So you can see which questions you got wrong and what the correct answers were. Someone's saying, what does a student see on the Compass Prep? They see exactly the same thing as for the GRE. So Compass and AccuPlacer look the same. So you have the resources, practice tests, and live help options. So those were the options here within the study section. I'll just pause for a few seconds to see if anyone has additional questions about anything we've gone over so far. Okay, I don't see any additional questions yet. So I'll move on to the Collaborate tab here. And we just have 2 options here in the last tab here in Collaborate, Meet and Brainwave. So the Meet option is the first one here. This essentially lets you schedule an online meeting using our online classroom, or study room as we call it, with whoever you'd like to invite to the session. So it uses the same online classroom as when you connect with one of our live tutors, except in a Meet session here, the only people present are those you invite to the session. So you're not connecting with one of our tutors. So students can use this to have a study group outside of class, or even a teacher could use it to give some extra help to students outside of the classroom. The nice thing is that everybody can be in a different location and join together in this online classroom. So to schedule a Meet session, just click on the button here and then follow the instructions on this page. So you enter the email addresses here of everybody you'd like to invite, and you put in the date and time, the description of the meeting, and click on Send. So that will send an email to everybody whose address you entered here, and they'll be able to click on that link to join the meeting. As far as the options you have and what the online classroom looks like, again, it's the same as when you connect with one of our live tutors. So we'll see that towards the end today when we actually connect for a live session. In a Meet session here, you can, of course, have more than 2 people. So it's not always just 2 people connected. You can have a study group with 4, 5, 6, or any number of people. There's a question saying, can students schedule a meeting? Yes, that's what we're essentially logged in as a student right now, so everything I'm showing you is what a student would be able to do. So a student could schedule this, send it to their fellow students, and have a study group session. And yes, of course, an instructor could do the same as well. An instructor could schedule one of these sessions. There's another question saying, does Brainfuse have any tools to help facilitate peer review sessions? For example, does the Collaborate feature allow them to edit a document together? So in the online classroom, you'll have some features that will allow students to exchange files. You can upload a document onto the whiteboard in the online classroom. So those are all things I'll show you when we connect for the live session. Once you schedule one of these Meet sessions, you have the My Calendar option here at the top of the page. So this is where that session would be saved. We go back to the Collaborate tab here. There's another question before I do that. It says there's not a difference between an instructor or student view, correct? There are some slight differences between the view of the person who scheduled the Meet session and those who are just attending. The features are all the same. You have all the same options, but the instructor or the person who schedules the session, whether it's a student or an instructor, has a few additional features. For example, they can create an individual whiteboard. So they can have a whiteboard with just one of the participants in the session, even if there are 5 students there. So you can have the one general whiteboard that everybody sees. You can have a specific one just for one student. So there's some little features like that, but as far as what you can do in the session, it's the same for the person who creates the meeting as well as those who are attending. The last option here, back in the Collaborate tab, is Brainwave. So this button here says create and share movie-like notes and ideas. So essentially Brainwave gives you a smartboard where you can type or draw whatever you'd like, copy and paste images, essentially put whatever you want on the smartboard, and the system records a little video of what you're putting on the smartboard as you do it. So it's essentially a video recording. You might use it to show how to solve a multi-step math problem. You can go through each of the steps sequentially, and the system records a little video. So once you create one of these, it's saved here within your account. These are 2 that have been created in this account. So the student could just use them to replay on their own, or you can actually send these to other people. So again, they can be sent by a student to a fellow student, or they could be created by a professor or teacher and sent to their students. So if I want to create a new Brainwave, I just click on the button here. This window tells me a little bit more about Brainwave, and then I just click on Begin Recording down at the bottom when I'm ready. So the window here we call Brainwave Notepad. It looks just like our online classroom. So we'll have these same options when you're connected in a live session. But of course here you're not connected with a tutor. It's just recording whatever you put on the board. So for example, I can use the tools here to put a graph on the board. I can use the Shapes tool here. I'll go over these buttons in a little more detail when we connect for the live session. But I can put a line on the graph, and for example, I could find the slope of that line. So you can go through all the steps to solving whatever the problem is. The system's recording it here. When you're done, just click on Stop Recording, give a name to the Brainwave, and then click on Save. So that would save it right here. And again, you can click on it, the play button here to play it, or the envelope icon here on the right to send that to somebody else. You'll just enter their email address. It'll send a link to them. They can click on to view that Brainwave. We also have the Brainwave Library tab here. So this is just like those flashcards where you can search through flashcards that other students have created. You can do the same thing here with Brainwaves by searching by keyword. Again, though, they're mostly just created by students, so they may not be accurate. There's a question saying, is there audio with this? There is no audio with the Brainwave here that we're looking at right now. There is audio with the Meet sessions. So when you connect in a Meet session, one of these scheduled Meet sessions with the people you invite, assuming you all have audio capability and are connected, audio works for these sessions. That's the only time you can use audio, though, within Brainfuse, is in a Meet session. Okay, does anyone have any other questions? Those are essentially the main options the students have. There are a few additional ones that we'll get to, but I think the next thing I'll do is connect for the live session, and we'll look at that. But I'll give you all a couple minutes to ask, or just a few seconds to ask any questions if there are additional ones. There's a question saying, are the Meet sessions recorded? They are, so that's actually something I haven't really covered yet, but all of your live tutoring sessions are recorded and saved in this Past Sessions button here. So if you click on Past Sessions, these are all past sessions that this student has had. They're essentially recorded and saved within your account. And that also goes for live Meet sessions, as well as sessions with our tutors. While I'm waiting for questions and before we connect for the live session, I'll go over one additional option up here that we haven't looked at yet, which is My Cloud Pack. So this is essentially a storage device. So when you click on it for the first time, it'll just say My Cloud Pack. These two folders here, English Essays and Math Class Notes, are just folders that I added. So you can add whatever folders here you'd like to, and then you can upload documents or any types of files here, and they'll be saved. So it works as a backup storage device. But the nice thing about Cloud Pack is that when you're connected in a live session, you can access any of the documents you have saved in your Cloud Pack and actually upload them right onto the whiteboard. So that's one of the ways you could share files in a Meet session. Any documents you have in your Cloud Pack can be uploaded right onto our whiteboard in a live session or in a live Meet session. There's a question saying, is there any place to check tutoring schedule when tutors are available? So it'll be set hours, and it'll say that at the bottom of the page once that's set. Again, I'm just not sure what it said within your particular contract, but it'll say that on the website down at the bottom of the screen, actually. There's a question saying, how are sessions differentiated? I guess you mean the saved sessions here that are saved within the Past Sessions button. So they're saved by date and time and also the topic that was chosen. And if it's a Meet session, I believe it'll just say Meet rather than college writing or the topic that was chosen here. There's another question saying, can you play one of the students' saved videos so I can evaluate the accessibility of the video? Let me do that in a second. Let me just address the other questions that have come in. Basically, there's a question saying, how do you tell a brainwave session from a meeting from a live session? So the brainwaves are saved in a different place. They're saved within this My Brainwaves option. This is where your brainwaves are saved. The live sessions and the Meet sessions are both saved in the Past Sessions button right here. So the live sessions with our tutors have the topic listed. A Meet session will just say Meet instead of the topic. Another question says, so the videos created in Brainwave don't include audio. In Brainwave, no, there's no audio. There's only audio for the Meet sessions. Another question says, is there video or audio or only audio in the live sessions? In the live sessions with our tutors, there's no video or audio. Everything is done through the whiteboard and through the chat box, as we'll see in a couple minutes when we connect for the live session. There's a question saying, can you share a Meet session? Can you share, send the recording of a Meet session to somebody else, I assume is that question. That's what this orange icon here next to each of the recorded sessions is. So you click on this, that'll convert the live tutoring session. This little orange icon here is what I'm pointing at. That'll convert the live tutoring session to a brainwave file. And then with brainwaves, if you remember I showed you before, with brainwaves you can send them to other people. So you can send live tutoring sessions and the live Meet session recordings. You can send those to other people. You convert it to a brainwave file, and then it'll be saved in your brainwaves, and you can send that to somebody else. There's a question saying, do you lose the audio when you send a Meet session? I don't believe so. I believe that should be recorded just as the rest of the session is recorded. And then I'll go back to the question someone had about playing one of the saved videos. So I'll just click on one of the sessions right here to replay it. So it's just sort of a screen capture of the session, and it replays it back sequentially. I'm not sure if this was an actual session here. Okay, so this was the session that I think the one that I did a couple days ago for Pima, for the people who attended a couple days ago. So this is not really an actual live session. It was sort of just me showing how the different features work. So there won't be an actual question on the board, but it's showing the freehand draw feature, the text feature, change colors, and there's some other options you'll see as well. So this is how it replays. So it replays both the whiteboard up here at the top and anything that was typed down in the chat box here as well. So that's how a session replays. There's a question saying, can you play one with audio? I don't have one with audio here, and even if I did, I don't know if you'd really be able to hear it. I guess you could just hear it coming from my speakers, but I actually don't even have speakers on my computer. But I don't have one that I can play. I would have to double check on the audio to make sure that's recorded. I've never gotten that question before. I assume it would be, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, for right now I don't see any other questions. So I'll go ahead and connect for a live session to show you how that works. So we're back on the main page here. So we saw a number of different areas where you can actually connect with a live tutor, but probably the most used option is the live help button here, the first one that we looked at. So I'll just choose English, writing, and click on the Get Live Help button here. So this is our online classroom that's opening up. It looks the same no matter what subject you choose, so you always see the same online classroom. And again, this is the same that you'll see, same online classroom you'll see in a Meet session as well. So you'll have the same options. So I've set this up today just so that I connect with myself. I'm also logged in as a tutor. So there is not an actual other person there who'll be typing back to us, but normally the session would start with the tutor asking, greeting me and asking what it is I need help with. So in this case I chose English and writing. So the tutor would see that I chose writing, but they wouldn't know anything in addition to that. So they'd figure out what exactly I need help with. So the session takes place in the chat box here. So if I wanted to type something out to the tutor, I could type it here. It's essentially an instant messaging feature, as a lot of programs use today. So you can type back and forth in the chat box there. And then up at the top here, we have the whiteboard space. So this area can be used for a number of different things. If a student logs in looking for help on a general topic, so they want help with how to divide fractions, that we have lots of lessons created for all standard academic topics. So on something like that, the tutor could load a lesson onto the whiteboard here and work through that with a student. Our lessons are just like those from a textbook, so they'll go over the basics of the topic and then some sample and practice questions. So things like that. Our tutors have other resources available as well for specific tests and other things like that that they can load onto the whiteboard if it would be relevant for the student. But the majority of the time, the whiteboard is just used to work through a math problem, to put a paragraph from a paper a student's working on and get some feedback from the tutor, things like that. So you would do that using all these buttons here. So I'll quickly go through the options there. You'll see when you put your mouse over them, you get a brief description of what that button does. So for the most part, they're pretty self-explanatory. I see there's a couple questions, though, saying, can a student copy and paste from math type into the whiteboard. So copy and paste is one of the features we have. I'll show you in just a minute. It can be used with anything that can be copied and pasted, essentially. So if your computer can copy it, you can use the paste button here to paste it onto the whiteboard. Another question says, who are the tutors, instructors, what are their credentials? So our tutors all have at least 4-year college degrees. Most of them have master's degrees. It depends on the topic they're doing. They all go through a full background check, a full training with us on how to use our service, what our policies are, things like that. And then to make sure they actually do the topics they say they can do, they have to take and pass tests that we've created. And then a lot of what we do on a day-to-day basis here in the office is tutor quality control. So we look through all of the sessions. We make sure the tutors are doing what they should, that they're being appropriate, and that they know their topics. So we constantly get rid of tutors who aren't good tutors or who don't know their topics. So that's a lot of what we do here at the office, making sure the tutors are up to par. The question says degrees in the subject they tutor. Yeah, so the degrees would be in the subjects they tutor. Our tutors aren't just approved to tutor in general. They're approved only for specific topics. So one tutor might be approved for trigonometry, but not approved for calculus. Another tutor might be approved for calculus, but not for trigonometry or geometry. There's another question saying where are the tutors located, and are there backup tutors if weather conditions, things like that affect it. So our tutors are located all over. They essentially work from home, from their office, from wherever they'd like to. They're not all located in one place. They are all U.S. based. So we have a lot of grad students, teachers who do it part-time, things like that. And yes, we do have backup tutors. So the way our staffing system works is we essentially have scheduled tutors, and then we allow tutors to log in as backups to sort of pick up extra hours is the way they look at it. So they log in, and if there's ever an overflow of sessions or a tutor loses internet connection, we have other tutors around who can pick up the sessions. I see there's another question, sort of a long one I'll read through. It says how might we be able to assess a student's use of the Brainfuse feature? For example, if I made an assignment to have them submit a rough draft of Brainfuse, how would I be able to know that they did that? So let me address that part first. So really the option for how you'd be able to know, you'd probably have to have the student print out the feedback that we gave them, and give it to you or email it to you. Certain programs we have where there's sort of an admin level access given, where admins could sort of check in and see how students are using the service, but it's not usually used like that, and I'm not sure if that would really be relevant for the way your students will be using the service. So I think really the way they'd have to do it is just you'd have to require them to save a copy of the tutor's comments with our rubric and everything and send it in to you. The question continues to say as well, can they add me to a collaborative session, and would that session show up in my saved vids even if I did not attend the session? So yes, they could add you. They could just enter your email address, or you could create the session and enter the student's email address. So you could be invited to the session. If you do not attend the session, no, I don't believe it would be saved within your account. I think for a session you did not attend, you'd have to have one of the students forward you the access to that recording. Someone says, can you describe the training program for your tutors? So we send them a lot of materials that they read through, and then they have to take tests that we've created on how our system works, in addition to the tests they take on their topics. For certain tutors, we also do live trainings through webinars like we're doing today. How would one become employed with Brainfuse? We accept resumes all the time. We're always looking for tutors. Another question says, are there training videos we can embed to help teach our students how to use Brainfuse? So we have training materials that we've sent, and we'll also send recordings of these trainings. So essentially a recording of this webinar today. And yeah, you can use those however you'd like to. So those are all the questions for right now. Let me go back to the online classroom. So I won't click through all the different options here. As you can see, most are pretty self-explanatory. You can click on the button, and then pretty much do what that button says on the whiteboard. So it's all interactive. So it's essentially like the tutor and student are working on the same board. So anything I put on the board here as the student, it shows up on the tutor's whiteboard, and vice versa. So you're working on the same board. This is the paste button here. So if you copy some text, you can paste it onto the whiteboard. If you copy an image from a math problem or an entire math problem from an online source, you can paste that onto the whiteboard here as well using this button. If you need a graph or a number line, you can use this tool. Just choose one of them. You can click and drag it onto the board. You can also double-click on the icon to change the X and Y values. There's some shapes you can put on the board. Undo just removes the most recent thing you put on the board. So if you click on that, it will remove the circles I just put on there. Math and science here just give you a long list of symbols you can use if you need to put any on the board for a problem. Superscript and subscript options down here. And then at the bottom you can clear the whiteboard. That window that just popped up is just a notification. If a tutor is idle, it notifies them to make sure they're paying attention to their students. Up here at the top, you can print out the whiteboard by clicking on this button here. So if there's something there you'd like to remember, you can print it out. But again, you always have the past sessions option as well. So your sessions are recorded and saved. You can log back in and replay that. You don't need to print something out here if you'd like to remember it. This option, the description is actually outdated. So it says email transcript and gives an outdated description here. But essentially what it does is you enter an email address here, and it sends a link to your email that you can click on to view the recording of this session. So it used to just send the chat box transcript, but like I said, now it actually sends the recording. So this will just give you access to that recording through your email rather than through your Brainfuse account. This button here that I skipped over says send file. So this lets you upload a document directly to the tutor that you're connected with. So you can send them a paper you're working on, a scanned page of a textbook, something like that, and they'll be able to see what you're looking at. So that's just another option. As opposed to copy and pasting, you can send a full document here. And the last option is the Cloud Pack Explorer. So that was the storage device we looked at before, where you can create folders and then upload documents into those folders. So here you can click on the Explorer and access any documents that you have saved there and actually upload them right onto the whiteboard. So that's yet another way you can share information with the tutor. There's a question about copying and pasting. So let me just open up this here. Say I copy this paragraph here. I'm going to clear the whiteboard so we have clear space. And then you just click on the whiteboard where you'd like it to paste, and you click on the paste button, and it'll paste it right on the whiteboard here. And it just pasted in blue because I have the blue color selected. So that's how the live sessions work. That's essentially everything that I wanted to go over today. So that's the live session, as well as all of the options here on the website. So now I'd be happy to take any additional questions that anybody has, comments, anything like that. If anyone does want to ask a question out loud, just type out a quick message to let me know, or click on the raise hand icon if you want to use that. I think it's sort of a orangish hand icon that I think you should see in the GoToMeeting window. Click that or type out a message. I can unmute your microphone if you're connected. You can ask a question out loud, or just feel free to type out any questions that you have.